We've been in contract negotiations for 18 months.
And our bosses have refused to bargain in good faith.
Oh no. Anyway, last week...
Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. Woke feminist media in full meltdown over collapse. Now, why do I call it woke? Well, because they're woke, as you can see here. We're going to have a video from a bunch of Washington Post elites that are in full meltdown because they don't feel they're getting paid fair wages, even though basically they work for Jeff Bezos and they report fake news all the time. Why do I call them feminist? Because they hate men. These are the ones that are pushing the left agenda and feminism and all that crap. Well, all these news agencies are collapsing. Now, I've talked about this a little bit before about zombie companies. And what a zombie company is that's where you have a company that when there's 0% interest rate or 1% interest, they either get venture capital money or they borrow money at a very low rate, and they keep paying all their people to hopefully dig themselves out of destitution. And then it doesn't work. And so they go into debt with the promise that they're going to come out on the top side. And what happens is as the interest rates go up on borrowing money, these companies go, well, we're out of money. We can't borrow any more money. We're running out of money. Will somebody please give us a handout? And then it doesn't happen. And here's some good examples. BuzzFeed News shut down, and this is from April 2023. Vice News Tonight ends as a company undergoes layoffs and recruiting. And here's the one I'm actually going to read from, the article 2023 Media Layoffs. The Canadian Broadcasting Company cuts 10% of its workforce, even though they've been given literally handout after handout after handout from Justin Trudeau and the Canadian government. But first, the most entertaining part of this video, other than my beautiful face, is this video. It's from the Washington Post Guild. Workers at Washington Post have been in contract negotiations with our bosses for 18 months, but the company's refusing to pay us what we're worth or bargain in good faith. So on December 7th, we're walking off the job for 24 hours. Now, here's the thing. I hope this turns into, honestly, like forever. There's some comments, I'm sure. Only 24 hours? Can you guys walk out forever and like never come back? If that doesn't work out, you can always learn to code. And if you don't know that, that was when, well, that's a long story. Jeff Bezos should personally pay the difference between you, what you're paid, and what you're asking for, including any additional benefits. That'll never happen. WAPO is bad and should feel bad. So, you know, no one's going to miss them on the way out. But I'm going to play this video for you, and let's all absorb the wonderfulness that is the mainstream legacy urinalists and media collapsing in on itself. Because here's the thing. They've lied too much. No one believes them anymore. Most of the time they're reposted to roast on. Even my mom, who's kind of, you know, she's 79 this year, I think. Even she, when she watches the news, I come in the house, I was visiting her for Thanksgiving, and she's watching like Fox News. And I said, why are you watching them? Because I signed her up on Twitter, and because she was always asking me, like, how do you know things 2 or 3 days before I hear it on the news? I said, it's because I'm on Twitter and I'm listening to things as they happen by independent journalists before it gets filtered and pushed through Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. So I signed her up on that, and I had her follow a lot of accounts, including mine, which she probably regrets, over on Twitter. Well, I see her watching Fox News, and I'm like, why are you watching that, you know, processed garbage? And she said, you know, I really enjoy listening to all the mainstream news and then seeing what really happened. I'm like, okay, that's kind of based. So even my 79-year-old mom is starting to realize these people have nothing to offer. I don't want to interrupt this too many times, but I do want to make fun of all their titles. This is Chief Ukraine Correspondent. Wait till you hear some of these. Because basically all they're saying is, I'm amazing and you owe me more money. So you don't have to hear every single word as I pull down the volume and make fun of them.
I have risked my life on the front lines of war.
I've covered an insurrection,
a global pandemic,
historic racial justice
This is social issues reporter.
protests, climate change,
and gun violence in America.
I work hard to make sure you know exactly what's going on in our DC community.
Exactly what's going on. Well, from our opinion and very biased views.
To hold powerful institutions to account.
They want to hold powerful institutions by account. except they're the Washington Post, and they're owned by Jeff Bezos. Doesn't that make you a powerful institution? I'm just saying.
And to bring you the latest visuals from around the globe.
And I'm worth a fair and transparent pay process.
I'm worth a living wage.
I'm worth raises that keep up with inflation.
I'm worth equal pay to my colleagues,
Oh, wait a minute.
regardless of my race or gender.
She says she's worth equal pay to her colleagues, regardless of her race or gender. Are you saying that people at Washington Post aren't paying you the same? I mean, are you calling Washington Post out that they're maybe? I'm just asking.
Race or gender.
I'm worth job protections that value my years of service.
We've been in contract negotiations for 18 months.
And our bosses have refused to bargain in good faith.
I wonder why that is, honestly. Either A, the Washington Post doesn't have the money. Now, Jeff Bezos has more than enough money to keep dumping money into Washington Post to keep them churning along, spitting out their BS. So either he doesn't see a value in it, maybe he wants the tax write-offs, maybe, and here's probably the truth, there are so many journalists, quote-unquote journalists, that do equivalent or better work than these people, and more than likely, many of these are the same people that have TDS and are all in on the government teat. Maybe the Washington Post is like, just leave. Like, there are so many other people that are basically activists just like you that we can hire that don't have jobs and will probably pay them less, and they'll be happy to do the work. You notice a lot of them are standing in front of this like same kind of billboard thing here or background. I have the belief a lot of them are probably like, you know what, we can contract some of this stuff off to contract writers, and we don't have to give them health benefits, and they can work remote and write the same crap that these people do. And then we don't have to lease out the buildings, and we can save money by having everybody work remote. And being contractors, we don't have to pay them, health benefits and things like that. So yeah, go ahead and go. I'm guessing that's what's happening here.
They have failed to offer us a fair deal that keeps pace with the economy and our competitors.
So on Thursday, I'm walking off the job.
I am walking off the job.
For 24 hours.
With hundreds of my Washington Post colleagues.
Because we're worth more.
You're not.
Worth more.
Worth more than what the company is offering.
Wow, they all said the same thing. It's almost as like they had a script. Lol, like most journalists do. So how bad is it? Well, this is so delicious. I love this. 2023 media layoff. CBC cuts 10% of workforce. Even though they've been given tons of bailouts by Trudeau for basically regurgitating what he says as good. 600 jobs gone, and 200 vacant positions. They're just saying, nope, we're not going to fill them. Budget pressures. Vice Media told staff it ends its production for some of its shows and layoffs. So Vice Media News is gone. Vice Media laying off people and filing for bankruptcy. Jezebel, Women's Culture News and Magazine. It's all feminist crap. 23 editorial employees. The business model's got to change, blah, blah, blah. TVA Group, Condé Nast, Google News, 40 and 45 positions at Google News. The Washington Post, and this is from October 10th, so this is going back here just about 2 months. Voluntary buyouts to cut 240 jobs, about 10% of its publications. So they're, these dingbats over here, like all in on the, well, you need to give me what I'm worth. And Washington's Post is like, look, we're looking for voluntary buyouts to cut 240 jobs, but we're just going to let you leave. They're averting more difficult actions such as layoffs. New York Public Radio, 12% of its workforce. These are all the ones from the year. I mean, I'm going backwards in time here, but Texas Tribune, Opera News, CoinDesk, Entertainment Tonight, Hearst Magazine's ESPN, National Geographic, Grazia, Hollywood Reporter, Bloomberg, Cheddar News, Warner Brothers, Bell Canada. It goes on and on and on. Wait for it. And on. It goes a long time, my friends. Why is this good? Why does this matter? I've said for a long time that these people that think that they're better than you, These people that want to tell you their truth of the world and not the truth of the world, or just give you unbiased news. They're so many people now don't listen to them anymore because they've been caught in too many lies or too much propaganda that people say, I'm out. And as people leave, advertisers look and they say, well, you don't get as many views, so we're not going to pay as much as for advertising. And so they don't get as much money, so they have to lay a few people off. And what happens? Then they can't write as much BS, and then they get less ad revenue. And then they get less ad revenue, and then they have to lay more people off. It's a downward spiral. It's starting here, but Disney's done it. Facebook has done it. Google's done it. Amazon's done it. Amazon's now looking at replacing warehouse workers with robots. McDonald's is looking at replacing not only just they've got the kiosks now for order taking. Now they're looking at how to replace cooks. You know, having a robot dip some fries, wait 3 minutes and turn and dump it. And yeah, you know, people do not understand when things get bad. I've kind of been in a bad economy. I was born in the 70s. The 70s were not great. Now, I was just a kid, but I was also from a middle-income family that, you know, we didn't have any new cars. We had the old station wagon with the wood paneling down the side like you see in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. We didn't have new clothes. You know, a lot of people assume, you know, just because somebody's doing well now for themselves. My parents didn't have a college fund for me. I think they had like $1,500, maybe $2,000 for me to go to college on that, which is not nearly enough to get a degree. So instead I joined the military and let my sister have that money. You know, people always assume, oh, well, nobody has to make sacrifices, or the sacrifices I'm going to make are minimal. No, you don't understand that even middle-income families like my family, my mom had to take a part-time job as a dental assistant. At least I assume she had to take a part-time job. But we didn't have new cars. We didn't have new clothes. My mom was very, very diligent on me making sure I ate my plate of food at night. I got the whole starving kids in Africa line from my mom. But we didn't have a lot of goodies. You know, Christmas was a couple of things, and they were $20 and $30 presents. When I was a kid, we didn't have much money, and that was in the 70s. During, you know, the Jimmy Carter era where inflation skyrocketed and everything went crazy. These people that are demanding, I demand you give me what I'm worth. Good luck to you. See, and this is, you know, if you watch the video I did the other day about these women having melties because the you know, employment is not paying me what I'm worth, and I have to work too many jobs, and I'm not going to sacrifice, and I'm not going to do you can't make me, and housing's unaffordable as I make $70,000 or $80,000 a year, or men must make $500,000 a year to date me. Oh, that's going to change. It's going to change real quick. And the entitled, the collapse of the entitled is going to be so beautiful. Look, I'm used to living at ground level. I've done it a majority of my life, only reaching my 40s. Which is 10 years ago now, did I really start to come into my own with a little bit of extra money. Thank God I had some good investments, and I got into some things early on so that, you know, I'm able to do some of the things I can do today. But I'll tell you something, if it all goes away tomorrow, I'm not adverse to going down and getting my hands dirty. I've joked around that if things get bad enough, I'll be the first one down there digging ditches if they're paying $20 an hour because they can't get anybody else to dig ditches. I'll get in better shape and I might lose some weight. But I've done that work before. Man, none of these people have. And so all these people, they're trying to threaten, and you can't threaten a company that doesn't have any money. You know, let me do a quick web search here. Hold on. All right, this is literally the first story I pulled up. WeWork bankruptcy is the beginning of a broader collapse in zombie companies, Wall Street veteran says. WeWork's collapse is just the beginning. There's likely a wave of zombie bankruptcies that are about to hit the market. The new Construct's CEO pointed to the demise of WeWork spanning the past few years, with shares crashing over 99% in value since marking their debut on the stock market just 2 years ago. That led the company to file for bankruptcy this week, a fate likely be realized for other zombie companies, referring to firms that are unprofitable, often heavily indebted, and burn through ridiculous amounts of cash. Trainer estimates there were likely hundreds of so-called zombie firms, many of them in media. I'm just telling you now. His warnings echo that of other Wall Street forecasters who have warned for a wave of bankruptcies and distressed debt to hit the market as tighter financial conditions and higher interest rates take over borrowed zombie firms. And they go into bond yields and interest rates and things like that, the stuff that I talk about, right? I'll pull up one more thing. Let me just pause this for a second. I'll pull up one more thing because this is what people don't realize, right? Companies say, we can't afford people. We can't afford the rent on our building. We can't afford to have as many employees. Let's let them work at home. But they're less productive when they work at home. And they still demand the same amount of money when they work at home. So that's maybe a little bit better for the worker, but they're not as profitable. But then the business can say, well, now we can save some money. Now we don't have to pay as much for lease for our offices, so we'll close our offices. What happens when all the companies start doing this and all these office like properties start to collapse? Well, here's an article. Now, it's from The Atlantic, so take it with a grain of salt. Again, I'm just literally clicking on the first Google search that comes up. The next crisis will start with empty office buildings. People canceling the Zoom meetings. Jamie Dimon had enough. The JP Chase CEO expected that sometime in September, October, the company's office would look just like it did before. 2 years later, his company is slashing its Manhattan footprint by a fifth. Kids are back in school. Retirees are back on cruise ships after the bug lockdown. But a lot of businesses are not going back to the offices. Let me see if there's any other news here. Commercial real estate crisis. Downtowns are dead or dying or on life support, says expert with over 50 years of researching urban policy. This is from just a couple of months ago. Hollowing out of U.S. cities, office and commercial cores as a national trend with serious consequences for millions of Americans. The shuttering of a Whole Foods market, et cetera, et cetera. New York City office vacancies rates have risen by over 20% since the lockdowns. So what's happening? What's happening here, guys, is that you get companies that are running out of money. They go, we can't borrow any money. We're not profitable. They start the layoffs. The layoffs, no more articles. They're woke and they lie in their articles to get an agenda across. No more people watch. No more advertising dollars. Start the layoffs. They start collapsing. Saving money, they start getting people that are not in an office building like this. They start hiring correspondents that are maybe remote. Maybe they're contract work, so they don't have to pay out, what am I looking for? Insurance. So they don't have to pay out insurance or benefits and things like that. So, of course, the worker will struggle a little bit based on that. And then as they empty out their offices and they hire people remote, they put the office up for sale. But, oopsie doopsie doopsie, because of the crime and the woke and the craziness and everything else happening in these big cities, nobody else is buying or nobody else is purchasing or leasing those areas. And then the restaurants that used to serve all these people, during their lunch times, all the businesses in the area start weeding out, plus, not to mention all the crime and the fentanyl zombies they've got walking around downtown cities. Then the malls close. And then crime goes up. And then Nike pulls out a store. And Whole Foods starts pulling out. And you're going to see that there is the possibility that every large American city that is known for its business, such as New York City, Dallas might be another one, Austin might be another one, San Francisco, of course, LA, of course, Portland, some of these really woke cities that are letting people, use these substances and business and they're light on crime, they're going to get hollowed out. And then people are going to work remote. And what are they going to do? They're going to move to like Montana and they're going to have a cheaper cost of living, but they're still going to request for the same amount of money from these companies. And you're going to see the hollowing out. Every American city has the capacity to look like, Detroit after all the car manufacturers pulled out. And so we are going to see a lot of things collapse, not to mention all the zombie companies out there. And when you've got a company like Disney, for example, who their stock is like $80 a pop, and at one time was several times that, then the companies, that have the streaming services. Like I think I just read today that is it Paramount streaming service? They lost several $1 billion, even though they gained subscribers, because people are now starting to say, well, I can afford this, I can't afford that. And then people stop buying as much. And then the corporations start suffering, so they start the layoffs. Then those people can't buy as much. This is what's going into a recession, depression really is about. It's the chain effect. And right now, as these companies run out of money, the beginning of the chain effect is going to start happening. And it's not going to be the electricians and the plumbers. Yes, they may lose some building work where they're actually building things. But if you work for a company that services homes and things like that in the area, or you're a welder, you can repair things, or you're an electrician, you're probably going to survive better than, these journalists that are worthless. The beginning of the crumble is just starting to happen just now, and it will have a chain-wide effect across everything. And the first to go are going to be these corporations. It's going to be the middle management and Facebook. It's going to be all the people that make your life suck because they hate you, because they're empowered females working at the HR department at your local, whatever business. They're going to be gone too. The diversity people, they're going to be gone. It's going to start. And at the end of the day, yes, there's going to be some rough times ahead. And like I said before, they'll be able to struggle through it. These little, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, they're not going to make it. They're kicking and screaming into the abyss of unemployment. And then they're going to ask for big handouts and unemployment from Big Daddy government. And Big Daddy government either can't afford it or they will give it out. Guess what? Causing inflation to go up, which causes more businesses to go out of business, which causes more unemployment, which causes more handouts, which causes more inflation. You can see where this is going to go. At some point, it's all going to break. The question is, how prepared are you in case it all breaks down? Prepare yourself. That's all I'm saying. Guys, if you like my work, join me over on betterbachelor.locals.com. You can support me like $5 a month. I would really appreciate it if you did. It keeps me free and independent. And that way, when YouTube doesn't like what I say, I can still pay my bills. So hope you join us over there. Free speech community. It's awesome. I really appreciate it if you join us today. We'll see you in the next one.